All right, here we go. Let's try that again. We can do this. We can do this.
Name.
Hi, my name is Mike Welling.
What's your role?
My current role is senior animator on the Sandbox team at Bungie.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing my current role for roughly 3.5 years, video games for about 6 years now.
What's the company you are working for?
The company I work for right now is Bungie Studios in the Seattle area. We work on the video game called Destiny 2.
A quick review of your previous experiences.
I've been in the industry for 20 years. I did about 14 years in feature films and then the rest of 6 years in video games. I've worked at various studios on feature film work, and then the last two companies have been Disney Interactive at Avalanche Studios, and then now Bungie Studios.
Some movies title you worked on?
I've worked on everything from Surf's Up to Open Season, Ice Age 3, Robots, Horton Hears a Who, The Croods, Kung Fu Panda 2, Megamind, Freebirds, Rio 2. Maybe that's it. That might be it. About 12 films. I think that's 12. I hope that's 12.
Where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles originally, but I've lived all over the place.
Where are you living now?
Bungie is in the Seattle area, so I live in Washington State on the west coast of the United States.
In which other cities have you been, and which one for you is the best place to live?
So I've worked at a bunch of studios around the country. I've worked near Manhattan in White Plains, New York, Los Angeles, near Dallas in Texas, and now, of course, in Washington State near Seattle. In terms of my favorite one, they're all great. I mean, there are so many things that come with going to a new place and experiencing a new culture, new people, new food. You know, there's a lot of things to do, I think, wherever you live. If I had to choose one, though, I would say probably New York because of Manhattan. The idea that you can get on a train and go into the city on the weekend and walk around and just find stuff to do. So much culture there and amazing food and experiences, and you're never bored. There's always something to do in Manhattan. So I think that's probably the highlight. Right now I live near Seattle and I have the water on one side. I can jump on a boat and go to Vancouver, or I can go to the mountains on the other side and I can go snowboarding.
When you realized that you wanted to become an animator?
It was a weird journey. I was originally a martial art instructor, and then a buddy of mine owned a screen printing shop and he needed someone to help out, and I decided I wanted to try doing art for this t-shirt company. And one day we had a job to do for a video game company that involved a cartoon character from a video game, and I had to redraw the animation because it got messed up on the fax. So I redrew it and something just clicked, something hit me, and I was immediately like, oh my gosh, this is really fun, and this feels like those drawings I see in those animated films. I ran home, I think that night or that weekend, and I bought every animated film I could find, and I just started watching them from a new lens, and I was hooked. And so I decided at that point that I was going to start pursuing that career no matter what it took. And that was it. That was the starting point.
Are you also a traditional animator?
No, I'm not a traditional animator. I'm a CG animator only. I dabble in 2D for timing things out, trying like really rough poses, but I'm not a great draftsman. When I wanted to become an animator years ago, that's what I thought the path was going to be. But I realized I wasn't a very good draftsman and I was impatient. And then Toy Story came out and I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I can do that. I can become a digital actor. I can move a puppet around and make that thing come to life. That was it. I was hooked again and I went down that path.
How was your first job in animation?
So my first job really animating was in 2000. I got a job at DNA Productions in the Dallas, Texas area on the movie Jimmy Neutron. I'd worked previously at PDI DreamWorks for 4 years, and that's how I got my foot in the door, and I learned how to animate there. But I wasn't an animator there. I was doing things like render wrangling. I was a PA for a bit. Getting lunch orders, things like that. Basically what I did was I just animated on my own time at PDI DreamWorks, and I just put together a demo reel over the 4 years I worked there. And I just finally sent it out one day. Nobody contacted me back except DNA Productions. So I went out and interviewed with them, and they invited me out. So I worked on the movie, and that was it. It was very thrilling. It was an amazing thing to go from working in an animation studio but not animating, doing things like getting lunch orders and taking out the trash and buying toner for fax machines and copy machines, things like that, to suddenly getting an offer for an animation position that paid way more and got to have my whole family move to a new place and start this new adventure. Was incredible. I'll never forget it. Amazing experience. An amazing amazing moment to get that phone call. Yeah, thrilling. Just it was amazing. Yeah.
Tell us something about your new animation course, Real Monster.
Real Monster is a side project I'm doing. I've been teaching animation for many, many years on the side. It's something I love doing. I have a lot of experience that I want to give back, and I'm always driven to do new things. I never sleep, I swear. I'm always doing something. And last year I decided to finally jump in and do it and make this course. Hopefully accompany other schools. It's not a replacement for like an iAnimate or an animation mentor. It's meant to be supplemental. So I'm hoping that students that are enrolled in these courses will possibly take a look at my course as well as a supplemental thing that will kind of give them new perspective or a different take on things. But basically mostly just breaking down like body mechanics, feature film acting. And I just want to make this thing as part of my legacy. You know, I want to build a thing. I've been super fortunate over my career from the very beginning. I had an amazingly hard time getting started in animation. Key people helped me along the way. And so I just want to give back.
What would you say to an aspiring animator?
I would say develop a good solid work ethic, because to be a really good animator, you have to be able to sit for long periods of time and dig into your work and really focus beyond just the surface. Really think about what you're doing and dig into your character. But I would say do a course of some sort, whether it's mine or someone else's, it doesn't matter. Do something that'll force you to work, that'll force you to practice, because I've seen so many students over the years who will take a break from some kind of online school or a course and they just kind of fall away because animation's hard. It takes a long time to learn. It takes a lot of practice. And so I would say put the work in. You have to put the work in. There's no easy way to do animation. There's no magic button. You have to just dig into it and do the work and do it as much as possible. So I think just constant practice. But I do want to say that you have to fail too. Everyone's afraid to fail and everybody wants to get to the destination like right now. And you have to understand how valuable failure is and fail fast and learn from those failures and then keep going, right? Because you have to fail. Create lots of bad animation, look at it, learn from it, get familiar with how it looks, get used to what timing feels like, and then work on your workflow and just keep animating. Just animate. Just do it. Just do it.
Top 3 skills needed to become a professional animator.
Observation. You have to observe everything around you and internalize it. I'll give you an example. So when I was wanting to be an animator years ago, I was at lunch with some animators and we were coming back from eating and there was a woman walking ahead of us and she had a ponytail, and 3 of the animators that were with me were discussing what the timing was on her ponytail. And one guy was like, hey, I think it's on 8s. And someone said, no, it's on 12s, and so forth, arguing over what the timing was of this ponytail. That's typical, right? I mean, we look around, we watch people, and we get ideas of poses and movement and how people are different and how they move different and how animals move. And then you take that observation and you turn it into motion, and then you learn how to caricature it and push it and embellish it, right? And so execution, animate, just do the job really well. Be a team player, work well with other people, collaborate, be a nice guy or a nice girl, nice woman, nice man, whatever, you know, just be fun to work with, be professional.
What are the main differences working as feature and games animator?
I think overall, you're still animating high quality because you have to be an amazing animator to do feature films and you have to be an amazing animator to do games. But the differences mostly come down to timing, I think. That's the biggest thing. When it comes to like feature film, you have the luxury of really pacing out the timing of your character and letting the animation breathe, and you can spend time wherever you want to have a character pause or think for a moment before they react or do a weight shift or big anticipations, big wind-ups, right? And then into like big ease outs, hit frames, whatever you want to do, right? But when it comes to games, a lot of times you're constrained to a controller that someone's going to be playing out in the real world, right? And they want that character to move immediately when they hit that thing or punch or kick or whatever, right? So you have to learn a whole new skill set in still doing polished, weighty animation that's appealing and reads well and communicates something meaningful that impacts the player, right? But at the same time, you may have to, have your character hit another character on frame 13 versus maybe frame 96 in feature films, right? So I think the biggest thing is the philosophy behind why it's different, so design-wise in terms of what the player is going to be doing, what the characters in your game is doing, and why, how you want that to read to your audience. And then, of course, responsiveness, just quick, boom, they want to push the button and have something happen like right away.
Which project you work on is the most meaningful for you?
The most meaningful project is a tough one because, I think every project you work on has to have something that you enjoy about it. You have to get into it and enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to do a good job, right? In terms of feature film work, probably working on The Croods, just because I got to work with James Baxter, who was an amazing animator and an amazing supervisor. He was really good at bringing the best out of everybody, and you just wanted to do a good job for him. He was really that was a really meaningful experience. In terms of now, what I'm doing now, working on the Destiny video game has just been an incredible learning experience. I'm doing things I never thought I would do in animation, in terms of body mechanics and selling things to the player, to the person out there in the world holding the controller. It's been the toughest job of my life, honestly. Transitioning from feature films into a more technical world like Bungie with people who are just incredibly smart around you. I mean, like everybody around me is so brilliant, and so I've just taken the last 3 years here, tried to absorb everything that everyone around me has to offer, and then I try to give back on what I know. It's been the biggest challenge of my life, but man, I'm so happy. I love Bungie and I love working in video games. It's really great.
Of all the characters you animated, which one you're most fond of?
Probably Po from Kung Fu Panda 2. He's just such a soft, cuddly guy, He's like kind of just like weeble wobble. He's always kind of like bouncing around and very ambient, and he's just a likable character. He doesn't like Jack Black. Working on Po is probably my most fond character.
3 pro of being an animator.
3 pros. Wow. Free snacks, typically. Flexibility, man, what's not to love? You get to animate all day long, bringing characters to life. I can't imagine a better day.
3 cons?
Yeah, I can't think of any cons, really. I mean, the only con I would think of is once in a while you got to put in crunch time. And it depends on where you work. Some studios do a lot of crunch. Some studios don't do any crunch. It just depends on where you go to work. Man, that's really hard. I can't think of many cons other than maybe overtime, but I don't mind. I'm weird. Sometimes working on a Saturday when the studio is kind of quiet and you're just burning through a scene or a shot, I don't mind that, really, to be honest. Like I said, I don't think there are too many cons as an animator. Sorry.
Your favorite animation quote?
I think my favorite animation quote was told to me, goes back to when I was wanting to be an animator. Came from Rex Grignon. I was talking to Rex one day about animation and so forth, and he gave me some advice. He just said, never stay where you want to get. And I never forgot that. I carry that with me forever, And so basically what that means is you set a goal for yourself. And let's say you want to be an animator, right? So you drive like hell to get that goal and you work hard and then you get there. And his advice is don't stay there. Make a new goal. What's the next goal? What's the next level? What's the next thing you want to do? And it can be, I want to be senior animator, and then drive to that goal. And then once you get there, don't stay there. Work hard to get to the next thing, And for some people, that can just be being the best animator that they can possibly be. It doesn't mean you have to go climb the ladder and become like the head of the studio. It can be whatever is meaningful for you to continue your growth as whatever that thing is you want to be. And so never stay where you want to get.
What's your favorite animated movie?
Oh, that's a pretty easy one, actually. Lilo and Stitch. There's something about that movie, with that relationship, not only between Lilo and Stitch, but like Chris Sanders and that whole team, the way that they portrayed those two characters and building in things like Elvis into the storyline and just little quirks about how Stitch is like this creature that is about destruction and then eventually learns how to be a family or how to be a part of a family. I don't know. It's pretty incredible. And that character, the design and the movement and the evolution of that character, all of them actually. I mean, even like Lilo and her sister, and just like watching that dynamic change is incredible. And it's so appealing and so entertaining. It's so great. That's one of the best movies I think ever done, to me anyway. That's an easy one.
What's the movie you wanted to work on?
That's tough. I don't know if I've ever even thought about that. I think if there was anything, it would be to work on the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. Chris Sanders and Dean DuBois, I mean, those guys, phenomenal directors and great guys, amazing teams, beautiful franchise of films. I got to work on the first movie for roughly a month, and I just helped finish up things, and it was just a taste of it, and I wished I had been there for the whole thing.
Can you tell us just one of your tricks that you use doing your animations?
I mean, in terms of tricks, I don't really have any tricks per se. I use a lot of tools that the studio has built over the years that we use. But I will say there are two things that get me through my day. One is using locators to create new pivot points to make my life easier. That's one thing I do a lot. The other thing is building body mechanics into blocking. If I had to say anything to anybody, and I preach this in my classes all the time, don't just block poses, but block poses that have meaning from one to the next, right? So those pose relationships, but then also as you're breaking those poses, those translations down, those transitions from pose to pose, be thinking about not a generic breakdown just to say, oh, I want to put an arc in here, but really think about how that movement is breaking down anatomically. Think about where force is being applied and how motion is being resolved and how parts of the body are moving meaningfully and accurately from pose to pose. And so you're not just doing generic breakdowns, but you're really thinking about how this movement breaks down from pose to pose. And then if you do that really well and you practice that, then when you go to spline your shot, a lot of the information is already there. And now you're just tweaking spacing. Because your timing is good, you're describing well how things are breaking down anatomically, and it just looks appealing. And I think also there's something to be said about creating accurate, believable movement and blocking. It just motivates you. When you see it, you just go, oh, that's super cool. And you just want to keep working on it. And you just drives you to keep going. So I think that's really important to be inspired by your own work as well. When it's firing on all cylinders, it's really fun. Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
What's your workflow? How do you plan an animation?
I shoot a lot of reference because it's quick. I can go down to my reference room at work and I can shoot all the reference I want. I can spend as much time as I need down there just shooting footage. And then I can kind of sift through it all and find little bits and parts that I like. And I can take that reference back up to my desk very quickly. I can block out, an action very quickly, like a couple hours, and then I can show that to the guys and get feedback. And it's a great way to eliminate bad ideas. Because what's really cool is when you show your work, you're going to get input from people who are better than you at something, right? And so you're going to get valuable information from people all around you. So don't be afraid to show your work. Show early, show often. Get feedback, throw it away if you need to, do it all over again. Don't sit and try to fix something that's half broken. Just throw it away, make a new one, and you'll block it in faster the second time and you'll have more meaning behind it because you got feedback from people who are good at their craft and have good ideas, and your work will evolve and you get to benefit from it because you took all that feedback and then you made it your own, right? You made that visual end product. Other than that, I mostly almost always step key my blocking. And once I feel like everything's there I need, then I'll spline it. One thing I always do is hit the core movement first. So this is my advice to everyone is like when you block out your work and then you go to spline, get that body mover, that COG mover or whatever you call it, and go through your scene and make sure that translation Y is working solid, that translation Z, that translation X, all those translations are working with the spacing and timing you want. And once that's good, then you go back through and you start transitioning through all your rotations on the stack, right? The whole torso, like pelvis, low body, mid body, chest, whatever, neck and head. And then once I'm good there, then I'll work through the appendages like the legs and the arms. But yeah, just the core, get the core, make sure the core is moving very solidly so that you can put everything on top of it. Because if it's not moving well and you're trying to put all this stuff on top of it to like mask it, it's not going to work. It's not going to be the best work you can make. Yeah, take it from me. Take it from me. I've had many, many bad shots and it's been a long journey here. So that's what I want to give to you right now.
Where do you find inspiration?
That's a great question. I find inspiration in movies. I always tell my students, like, don't just jump into a scene. Put your mindset in that place first. Find something that will help you get there. Sometimes I'll put a movie on, like an animated movie, and I'm not necessarily going to watch it, but I might put it on in the background so I can hear it. I can hear the soundtrack. I can hear the dialogue, and that cinematic feel will creep into my subconscious, I guess, or whatever, but it puts me in an animated place. Hear that energy, right? It reminds you of like, oh yeah, I'm an animator and I can do whatever I want to this character. I can have them jump around. I can make them a bouncing ball. I can do very stylized motion with like exaggerated hang times and like big slams to the ground. I can do all kinds of really cool stuff because I'm an animator. And we have to remember that we're entertaining our audience. We're not just doing motion studies. We're here to entertain people. And so we have to remember that. Also, I love Pinterest. There's so much art on Pinterest. It blows your mind. It's like a rabbit hole. You can dig deep for hours on amazing pieces of art that people have posted, and you can go make your own boards categorized by like combat stuff, armed, unarmed, inspiration for like lip sync, facial animation, character poses, gestures, acting choices, all kinds of stuff, themes. There's so much stuff out there.
Can you briefly describe your typical working day?
It's probably the same as everybody else, right? You get up, you get ready, you go, you commute forever to get to work because animation studios are never in the country, right? They're always in like some kind of very, very busy metropolis area, right? And so you drive to work. The one thing I'll do when I get to work is I got to get wired up a little bit. So I drink coffee, have cereal. Like I said, there's always like free food at studios, right? So I'll have cereal or something. I'll usually get logged in and I'll just kind of review what I was doing the day before and kind of look at what my mind was doing at the time and what's important to accomplish. Oftentimes, we will have conversations in the morning to kind of button up things that happened the day before or bugs, whatever. It could be any number of things, right? And you just work. You work until lunch. You go to lunch. Lunch is a great time to kind of talk to people and meet with other coworkers and just kind of talk about what's going on. Check your email after lunch. There are oftentimes meetings that interrupt the day. Animation meetings, could be animation reviews. It could be any number of things that are important to keeping the team going forward. One thing that Bungie's really good about is we have certain rituals put in place through small teams to help people from getting blocked. That's like a big no-no, right? You don't want to be responsible for blocking someone else's work. We have pretty much open communication to make sure that, hey, that guy is going to start doing visual effects work pretty soon. I better get my shot done so that he's not sitting around waiting for me to get my shot done. So that's really important to us. We always want to consider other people and other team members around us. We don't want to block them. You might as well do it in a way that your team is working efficiently and enjoys their job and you can collaborate and everyone loves working together. It's like a much better work environment.
There are anything that you would like to do in your career that you haven't done yet?
Yeah, I want to eventually people manage. I want to manage people's careers so that I can help them get to their goals. I've been very lucky with good managers pretty much my whole career, and I've seen the effect they've had on me and other people. I think it's another way of giving back, hopefully, that I can help someone climb to their next goal. And so just being a part of that process, Collaboration is one of my favorite things. I like working with a team. I've supervised, but I have not people managed yet. And so I think I want to try that. Other than that, I'd like to dabble more into entrepreneurship. I want to work more into business stuff, but animation is going to be near and dear to my heart forever. It's given me a life. It's given my family a life, and eternally grateful to that. I'm in debt to the animation industry and to certain people forever for my opportunities I've gotten. Absolutely.
What do you do besides being an animator?
I love to snowboard. I love to take my kids snowboarding. I've got a 2-year-old that's about to start learning to ski. That's going to be super awesome. I can't wait to do that. I love listening to audiobooks on self-development, business, entrepreneurship. I love hearing stories about people who have built empires and how they got there. It's fascinating. There's so many great stories out there. At the end of the day, everyone's got a story, right? It's all about stories. I like to do graphic stuff. I like to work in Photoshop a lot, Lightroom. I like to dabble in photography a tiny bit. And then I play guitar. My family's kind of musician oriented. My daughter plays drums now, piano. My son's picked up the bass. I think my family overall is very creatively driven.
There's something you want to add?
What I really want to do is talk about you out there, the animators, aspiring animators, people who want to learn this craft. It's an amazing industry. And if you treat it well, it'll treat you very well back. I assure you, I promise you. Put the time in. Don't rush it. There's no way to rush this. You have to develop your eye and you have to build experience to understand nuance. You can't book learn it. You can book learn a majority of the execution of animation, but you can't really rush and book learn nuance. It comes from here and it comes from your heart. And so you have to develop it. And that's why animators are different. That's why some people are very good at body mechanics. Some people are very good at acting animation. Some people are good at both. Some people are very, very fast animators. Some people are slow animators, but very good. So take your journey and enjoy the journey. And on top of that, we get hung up on the negatives of, this didn't work out, or I didn't get the job, or they treated me badly, or whatever. Let me tell you right now, you kind of need that contrast in life. You need the bad times to appreciate and to gauge the good times, right? So I had a lot of bad times coming up trying to be an animator, like a lot of situations that are unfortunate. People didn't didn't treat me well, but you know what? I would not change it for a minute because it gave me perspective and it built my character and it made me who I am. And I appreciate what I have now. And so I want everyone to just keep that in mind as you go through really tough times and times of rejection. Keep that in mind. And also along the lines of rejection and failure, every opportunity I've had for the most part in my career has been because of something went wrong. Okay. Think about that for a minute. If you're in a job that's okay and you're just like, it's a job, it'll work, and you get comfortable there, you might just stay there forever. And you'll never really truly understand your potential or even have the opportunity to do something else and to push yourself. But if you're kind of kicked out into the street, take the good with the bad, If you get fired, take the opportunity to learn something new, to go in a different direction maybe, and tackle it. Go for it. I've been a part of layoffs at like DreamWorks. I got laid off in 2013 and I cried, but then I had a job the next day. I was like, someone called me and said, hey, I need you. Are you available now? Because I heard about what's going on over there. Yeah, I'm available now. So then opportunities came. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. My last job, the studio shut down. I was like devastated. And then like a week later, I got a phone call from someone at Bungie and they were like, hey, we're interested in what you have to offer. Amazing, amazing. So don't be discouraged. Take the good times and the bad times and appreciate them and use them. Use that contrast. Build character. Above all, animate with mechanics in mind, but enjoy the process. Have fun doing it. Have fun animating. Yeah.
Can you say goodbye in Italian?
I had it. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot. See, so now I gotta go. Look, goodbye. This is how I cheat. That's so funny. Yeah, okay, so goodbye in Italian, addio, right? Addio? Addio. All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and let's do it again.